Okay, so two things before I start this video. One, it was inspired by very specific events, but I'll try to keep it as general as possible, so it applies to different things. And the second thing is, I'm sorry if the sound quality is bad, because I recorded this on a potato. Now, lately I've been getting into character design and what makes a character a good one, things like that. And one conclusion that I've come to is that you should never make your character a Mary Sue. For those of you wondering, a Mary Sue is a character that's good at everything, you know? Their choices are never conflicted, they're skilled in many different areas, they're flawless characters that have no trouble doing anything, basically. Now I shouldn't have to explain this, but I will. Mary Sues are bad because they're boring characters. If your character never has any trouble doing anything at all, then there's a chance that they may be a boring character and they won't face obstacles the same way that a normal person would. That's why someone might bring up Aloy, the main character of Horizon Zero Dawn, which is the game that's playing in the background. A lot of people really like Aloy, but I don't know, I find her kind of lacking just because she's so good at everything, basically. I think my favorite example of Mary Sue, though, would be Rey from Star Wars. I mean, just think about it for a second. Rey can climb, she can repair droids, she can drive spaceships, she can fight, she can use the Force, she can use mind control, she can use a lightsaber. I mean, the list really goes on. Oh yeah, I forgot, she can speak multiple languages. And I've heard people argue stuff like, oh, well, Spider-Man is a Mary Sue. And no, he isn't. The main argument there is, oh, he can fight, he's strong, he's super smart, and he gets all the girls, so he's a Mary Sue. And that's just not how it works. Spider-Man has lost too much to be considered a Mary Sue. I mean, he lost his parents, then he lost his uncle, then he lost his girlfriend, then he lost his best friend. In some iterations, he even lost his aunt. Now, if you try to compare that to what Rey has lost, I mean, it really doesn't compare. You could say that she's lost her parents, but she never really knew them in the first place, did she? That's also a nice segue into the whole backstory thing, because backstories are super important in characters as well. A good backstory can make or break a character, really. Take this for example.
An ancient evil has returned, hungrier than any the world has ever known.
60 years ago, they tried to destroy the world. They're back.
Now, one secret government agency
Welcome to the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense.
has been called upon
Hellboy.
to stand against them.
There are things that go bump in the night.
Now imagine if it were like this.
A guy with a bunch of tumors that's completely covered in red paint saves the day.
No, it may not be the best example since, let's face it, the trailer for Hellboy is not the best trailer. But you can understand the point, right? A good backstory can change a character for the better. And part of what can make a Mary Sue a Mary Sue is their backstory. Now, Hellboy's backstory may not be the greatest, but it's something. And I think that's something more than a lot of characters nowadays. Now, if you haven't already, this is the part of the video where you can click off, 'cause This only applies to a select few people, and I doubt you care. So let's talk about role-playing. Ah yes, role-playing, as opposed to huge companies like Marvel creating characters that may be bland, or Mary Sue's. We have crusty nerds in their basements creating Mary Sue characters. So there's basically no restraint, is there?
Into the villains being overpowered thing. Villains, I know a lot of people do this. It's like a dick measuring contest on Bionicle Amino. Please stop upping each other. Just make your characters and go with it, please. Thank you.
It's funny that you'd say that. But, no. I know from personal experience and from other people's experience that maybe it is a contest to one-up each other, but in a lot of cases, there's just so many people with overpowered characters that you feel the need to make your character overpowered, not necessarily because it's like a dick measuring contest, as you put it, but because your character feels underpowered in comparison. As I said before, we're dealing with crusty nerds, and they can do whatever they want with their characters. Give them 50 powers or something crazy like that. So if you're dealing with a character that has 50 powers and you're using a character that has 2 or 3 or something crazy like that, it's not going to be a fair fight. So you might as well make your character very strong, not necessarily for the sake of making your character overpowered, but just for the sake of making the RP battle fun and fair. Again, I mean, it may have started as like a contest to one-up each other, but it certainly isn't now. I think at this point it's just people wanting their fights to be fun and fair, me included. Now, what's next?
Here's another thing I noticed. A lot of people have similar attacks and just similar things in general, and backstories.
Wait, huh? You have to understand that so many ideas and concepts have been done by someone else already that it's basically impossible to have an original idea at this point. Yeah, I'm gonna roll with that. It's impossible to have an original idea. It is, however, possible to do it better than someone else, and I think that's what people are trying to do. What's next?
Yeah. Weaknesses are non-existent, like, come on. I see so many people forgetting weaknesses and it's like, come on, are they scared of the dark? Do they hate spiders? Spiders, a giant legion of spiders. And
despite the fact that I don't think spiders would be a reasonable weakness, I guess I agree with you completely. But I mean, if a weakness isn't explicitly said, can we assume that it's a weakness? Well, no. The answer to that question is definitely no. But think about the other extreme. Now, if we look at a superhero like Superman, his weakness is kryptonite, and everybody knows that. If kryptonite is presented before him, green kryptonite of course, he basically just dies. Basically. Compare that to a hero like Captain America, who doesn't have any explicit weaknesses, but you know if he gets punched a bunch of times, he's gonna die. If he gets stabbed, he's gonna die. Think of it that way. Of course, this is different though, because as I've said before, these are crusty nerds in their basements and they don't want to lose their battle. And, well, it's completely up to them whether or not they lose the battle. And even if they do have a weakness, chances are they aren't gonna be, fair and die as soon as they're hit by their weakness. No, they're just gonna keep going, probably, because that's how people work. They want to win. There's no real regulation on it, right? Either way, there isn't really a win-win situation in here. I guess it's all about the person, right? But in most cases, I'm sure that the person you're dealing with wouldn't be fair and let you win rightfully. Oh, we're done.
When worlds collide, you'll laugh so hard, you'll swear you died. When worlds collide, hold my hand, I'll be your guide. When worlds collide, buckle up for the sweetest ride, and prepare to have your mind blown wide. When worlds collide, when...
Yo, check it out!
When worlds collide, it's a curious thing. Bet you never heard a robot and a caveman sing. In his metal chest are some work-it parts. How is that different from my beat-in art?